All right, so we're back here, episode 53 of Commanders in the Chat, the Commanders post-game show. What's going on, Rob?
Trying to get my heart rate down a little bit
Yeah,
after that game.
yeah. Once again, we're here on a victory edition of the post-game where the Washington Commanders won by the final score of 17-16. First ever win in Indianapolis since October 23rd, 1994, and the first
Wow.
ever game, first win against the Colts since a Sunday night game on Sunday, October 27th of 2002. Wow. We are here in a very historic night here on the Commanders in the Chat pod. Man, Rob, what is your initial thoughts on this game, on this victory?
I don't know how to feel about this team. I don't know how I feel about this team right now. I don't know how to feel about the win. I'm not happy with the win in the sense that we didn't
Yeah,
play lights out. The Colts are not a good team. Let's just get
yeah.
one thing straight. Sorry, Stu. The Colts are not a good team. The fact that it came down to the final drive, regardless, Taylor Heineke, to the people who wanted Taylor Heineke this whole season when struggled, don't use that last drive as to say, "Oh, this is why we needed him. This is why we should have benched Carson Wentz 3 weeks ago."
Yeah.
Heineke needs to play how he played in the last drive the entire game. There's no reason Sam Ellinger should be going toe to toe with Taylor Heineke today. That being said, Terry McLaurin deserves a Super Bowl ring from this team. And I tweeted this earlier. This team they need to give him a ring. It's going to be unfortunate that it's probably going to have to be trading him at some point to a contender to get him a ring. But when that time comes, if this franchise is not in a position to win a Super Bowl, they need to trade him in the middle of the next rebuild. Go let him get a ring with another team. Um, but this is not indicative of what this team can do going forward. We are 4-4, 3 game winning streak. You know, ever since Ron Rivera has been here, we've had at the very least, I have to go back and look because I don't know off the top of my head. This is our second 3 game winning streak under Ron Rivera at least. And this man has never been above 500 after week 2 of the season. So we just beat bad teams. That's what it is. We beat the Colts today, Packers last week. Packers are not a good team, and then the Bears. The Bears are not a good team.
Yeah.
We are only 1 game back of that 7 seed. We are right on the bubble of a playoff spot. So we have the Vikings coming up. We have a lot of teams, a lot of playoff contenders. I hope I'm proven wrong, but this does not mean that I'm confident in this team going forward, thinking we can steal one of those playoff spots.
Yeah. A win like tonight, I definitely think it's a positive. I think it's one of those where I look at this win is, yeah, although the outcome was great, but there were certain points in this game where executions need to happen. And I think we even talked about Taylor Haneke. We've always said, and we've kept it even regardless of good or bad or the ugly, where Taylor Haneke, he's that pinch hitter. He's the one that if you need him in a pinch, 4 to 6 weeks, he'll be able to take care of business while your starting quarterback is afloat.
Yep.
And he's perfect because of one of our offensive line. This is our seventh lineup change. I think it was seven. Yeah, it was our seventh change. And as far as he's the quarterback that's perfect for this offensive line because obviously, and even if you look at this game where there was plays where he had to elude and escape out the pocket, some that Carson Wentz probably would have just got a sack off of because of just his immobility. But this is a difference. It's a difference what a year make. I remember, obviously, last year Halloween. It kind of reminded me of the game last year against in Halloween when we played Denver, where in that case Taylor Heineke, if he had a drive and then obviously he threw the interception, and it's for our bye week before when we went 2-6. So that I thought last year that was like the lowest of the lows. This one is like you said, this is a week by week basis. I'm not gonna declare like, oh, this this is a great team, this that and the third, because it's still it's still a mystery. But like we said, and it's like similar to when they went on a 4 game winning streak last year.
Yep.
When they went in 6-6 playing Dallas, hey, this be the best time to prove that is this a fluke or not. And the same thing gonna go here. Well, we're gonna have some games and some situations in the month of November that's really gonna tell the tale of what this team really is about. I'll take a win like this tonight. The guys fought hard. This is one of those games where you kind of want to see depth from the defense. They did such a great job defensively. I think that's one of those where they really didn't give up a lot of big plays. They did force some turnovers, so that was one of those where I love the fact, and that's one of the biggest keys we always say every week in and week out, to hey, get those turnovers, try to win the turnover battle, and that was what they did. But like you said, I mean, the Bears, the Packers, and then also today with the Colts, a part of our 3 game winning streak, you'll take it. At this point, we'll take it. I know 3 weeks ago, that Tennessee game, it looked really like it was despair. It looked like it was like, the sky was falling 3 weeks ago today. So at this point, to be 4-4, you'll take it at this point, because the way they played the first, essentially, the first 5 games, it wasn't really good. So, I'll take it. But like you said, we'll have plenty of opportunities in the month of November to prove what we really are, and we'll definitely see it. And especially our opponent next week. We'll talk about that later in the show. But yeah, we have a great opportunity to see what this team is really all about.
Yeah, especially with the teams we have coming up. I mean, we'll get into it in a little bit, but the Minnesota Vikings coming to town on November the 6th. I mean, that's our litmus test.
Yeah,
This defense has been playing great over the last few weeks, despite what we've been saying about Jack Del Rio. With William Jackson out of the lineup, the defense has been almost thriving. Kendall
yeah.
Fuller has had his issues. St. Juice got burnt once. But I saw somebody tweet, every corner gets
Okay,
burned.
burner.
Daryl Rivers has gotten burned a couple times in his career. Like, that's nothing to really be concerned with. Wild Goose, he got burned, and
Oh
they
yeah,
had that pass interference, set India up with their one and only touchdown of the day. But for the most part,
yeah,
got pressure on the quarterback. Linebackers played well. David Mayo played great. Um, with the exception of the one big play, St. Juice played well.
yeah.
Kendall Fuller didn't see his name. We didn't hear his name
Thankfully,
a lot this game. Like,
yeah,
this coming up, these next 4 of these next 5 games, 5 of these next 6 are going to be real litmus tests, and we're going to see
yeah.
if this team really is a contender with Taylor Heineke.
Yeah. And that's the thing and that's why, like, today I can bask in the glow of this victory, because hey, and then just the resolve of it. I think just the simple fact of them, being down 16-7 in the fourth quarter, and then persevering, almost kind of remind me how they played against Jacksonville, in the sense where going down and having those abilities. And I think, like you said, that final drive where you know Terry, like you said, Terry just it was a perfect ending, that for the hometown kid. So it was
Yep.
awesome. Like, to me, for him to do that, because that's just, and it shows you, like, Taylor Heineke, he just brings something different. He just brings the best out of these guys, and I think that's where it's that adrenaline rush. It's almost like he's like the Red Bull, and now almost to a point where, when is the Red Bull going to kind of wind down? But and that's how and that's how we kind of looked at it from last year, where obviously that 4 game win streak from last year. Now we're now in a 3 game win streak, so it's definitely interesting. I'll take it. A win is a win. Like, obviously, like we talked about the last few weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a difference. It's funny where it's almost like last year we went at Lambeau, lost. Then when the Denver lost, and now it's almost like the reversal, where we had Green Bay at home beat them last week, and then And then I was talking about earlier, as far as the game in Denver on Halloween. So yeah,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So Rob, how was this Commanders win one?
By the hometown hero, hometown kid, Tam McLaurin. Again, don't confuse this with a Taylor Heineke game ball type of game. No, even on that throw, yes, he was able to extend the play, which he did for the most part, almost every play that drive. But you look at the way that ball was thrown. Stephen Gilmore had the ball in his hands, two
Yes.
hands on it. That was an interception. Terry McLaurin had to go up, had to fight for it, and had to take that ball from Stephon Gilmore. So again, don't think that this is not a Heineke celebration game. Terry McLaurin got us that win. Anytime Terry McLaurin, his number was called, he came up big. I think he only had one incomplete pass that was targeted to him. And our defense, and it's so crazy because we spent the first 5 weeks of this season and essentially all of last season. So for 22 straight games,
Yep.
we have been saying this defense is liability. Jack Del Rio needs to be fired. And now Scott Turner seems to be the only problem on that coaching staff right now. Because the job that Jack Del Rio and Ron Rivera have been able to do with the linebacking position and with Jamin Davis. Jamin Davis came up huge today. He got that third and goal stop. The run by Jonathan Taylor stopped him on the goal line, held them to a field goal. He kept up with Jonathan Taylor in the passing game. So Jamin Davis has been coming up big. He's been playing great. The whole linebacking core has been playing really well. Scott Turner's offense, his play calling, his scheme, his everything he does, it's slow, it's trash, it's what's the word? It's predictable.
Yep.
You look at the big plays this team had. It's when Taylor Heineke goes out of the pocket and they're playing NFL Street out there. They're playing backyard football, which was what that final play was, or the second to last play to Terry McLaurin. The play broke down. Terry McLaurin was running a hook. He ran a little 10-yard hook, realized the play was broken, and he just took off. So that is it. It goes to just goes to show that Scott Turner truly is not his father, no matter how hard he tries to be.
Anyway, slice it up for sure.
Nope.
Yeah, I definitely think, like, obviously, the final drive, like I said, and it's Terry, because obviously he's the one that snagged it out of Stephon Gilmore's hand, because if he didn't have that wherewithal, that would have been an interception. That would have been his second
Yeah.
interception of the day. But I definitely think another key stop was that that third and 5 play where Sam Elliott was scrambling and he was just a few, like maybe a yard short of it, where it was to a point where they thought that was gonna be a first down, but then they ruled it short. I
Yep.
think that was kind of one of the keys, what how this game was won. Obviously, this was a game, especially from a defensive standpoint. This was a game of inches, and that's where you looked at how great this defense played today, where they were able to hold Ellinger in that regard. Where, hey, if that had been the first down, who knows what could have happened in that predicament? Like, it could have been a situation where they could have had more points on the board, and then this game wouldn't have even been in play. So I looked at the defense, that play alone, and like you said, and it was really odd. Like you said, this where, and it's crazy to think, like, and this one it is weird about this game, because like, even in that situation, when I knew we got that stop, I knew we were gonna win that game for some bizarre reason. Even though we were at the 11-yard line, we were facing 89-yard drive. I still had some thought, like, because to me, stopping Elliott like that was key. Like, to me, I was like, if we stopped him and they were a few yards short of the first down, that's kind of like a destiny type of win. So I think that was kind of the big play, and I think that's what I looked at as far as how this team won the football game, because I mean, the 89-yard drive, and even with that, this Taylor Heineke just make keeping plays alive, like that fourth down play to Curtis Samuel to keep it down. And I
Yep.
was really impressed in that drive where they had a nice mixture of sense of urgency and some don't. And I think that's one thing too. I think that used to was like bugging me in the beginning of the season where it didn't seem like they had a sense of urgency. But now, even in that drive, there was a sense of urgency. So I was really impressed by that final drive. And like you said, that yeah, I mean, we can say the Heineke throw to Terry McLaurin was somewhat of a flukish type of play, but it is what it is. It's almost like it's kind of like almost like a not to kind of compare the two, but almost like a David Tyree or Mario Manningham s type of
Yeah.
throw and catch where it is what it is. But it's just one of those where you just can't do that week in and week out and expect that same result. That's I think where we reeling it in more so than anything. Obviously that's why, like I said, I stay away from social media as much as I can during the game because, like you said, I think what you said, this is who y'all want. I forgot you tweeted something. I forgot it was something about telling Hannah. He's like, this is the person that y'all really want, or something like
Yeah.
that. I forgot. Yeah, but I'm just saying that's why like you like that. That's what happens with people. Like where it's not you, but just saying as far as because yeah, one of people who saying oh man, he's gonna be he should be your starter forever. No, but we've always said, and I will always, and we are in the and we're in agreement with it where he's good if your starting quarterback is out for 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
He'll get you above flow, so it won't be a situation where oh man, because we know now how things are, especially in NFL, where if your starting quarterback goes down, there's a huge drop in play.
Mhm.
And Taylor Heineke is one that I think he could be someone, if your quarterback no more than about 6 weeks, he could win 3 to 4 games in that time that he's out. And and it is what it is. And like of course, you've had people thinking that he's gonna be the long term solution to this team. See what y'all did. Watch y'all get Carson Wentz. I'm like that. He was there for a reason. So, to me, and the thing, that's what I love about Taylor Heineke because he understands this. The fans are the ones who are the irrational ones.
Yeah.
Like he knows what this is all about, and he didn't trip about Carson Wentz being there because he knows I'm a one play away from becoming the starter of this team.
Yeah.
So he's always, that's what I love about him. It's like he knows his role. And that's where a lot of people, especially in sports and what have you, some people don't want to embrace their role. Like
Right.
some people, you think to yourself, like if most people, most quarterbacks, just most people in general, like him, I started 15 games last year, like, and you are bringing a guy paying him 25, $28 million. Most people are gonna be like, you know, but
They're gonna feel some type of way about it.
yeah, and rightfully so. And we're not trying to say like it's, but I think that's the endearing part of Taylor Heineke, and that's why you see there's a change and there's a spark because obviously you look at like how they embrace him in the locker room, like last week. Obviously with Jonathan Allen that embraced last week, and then all just even the body language between him and Terry is great. So like, and then even the love he got in the locker room today. I seen a little bit the footage of when we got in the locker room today. So it's like, yeah, it is what it is. It's just, but can this hold long term?
Yeah.
And we'll find out in this month, in the month of November. But I definitely think the Sam Elliott could play to hold him to that third and that third down play really was the key in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
So we're giving out grades, Rob. Offense, what grades you giving them?
I was I'll give them a B because they played really well in the first quarter and kind of in the last part of the fourth quarter they played really well. Just in the middle was atrocious. Again, Scott Turner's play calling is terrible.
Yeah.
So slow, no sense of urgency at the end of the first half, which this team never has for some reason.
I don't know.
So offense, I'll give them a solid B because they did make plays when they needed to. Defense, I'll give them. I want to give the defense an A. They played very well. Um, had a few hiccups, a couple times getting burnt. Not a lot of penalties in this game. I think
Yeah.
three total penalties
Yeah.
through both teams. So I definitely give defense an A. They played solid. They kept us in the game, especially down in the red zone. Uh, the two fumbles, Jonathan Allen causing one fumble. The first one, Sam Ellinger, and then Derek Forrester causing the second one, Jonathan Taylor fumble. And then special teams, give them an A. They didn't do anything wrong. Tressway had almost 300 yards of punting. Um, overall, overall solid effort by him. I just wish we can put all three phases together for a majority of the game because we had all three phases going today. It's
Mhm.
just the offense stalled out between second half and 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and I think too, where I think it just essentially, I think offense. I want to say I give them a C plus. Like you said, there were so many points, especially in that first half, where they should put some points on the board. Especially, I think one of the kind of the things I looked at was especially that last possession, going that last possession in the first half, where I'm like, you could have took advantage in that spot and you would have got the ball back. I think those two possessions where I always look at those types of possessions where it's like, hey, that could change the tide of the team. When I'm like, well, they two great opportunities that you can score. So that was my biggest thing was, hey, so. But I will give them credit for obviously the two final possessions that led to the field goal in the first drive, and then the 89-yard drive to win that game. So I give them that defense. I'm gonna definitely gotta give them an A. They did such a fantastic job defensively, and and I know people will say, well, they really didn't play, as far as you look at like Michael Pittman Jr., Jonathan Taylor, like you look at for their playmakers, but regardless, there's always guys that have gone off on us that no one knows.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like for them to have a good game like this, like you said, forcing those two turnovers were key. And Jonathan Allen, just another solid performance. He's another one where he's our lead on defense. And then you also Deron Payne, what he's doing. And, so you look at what they're doing, then obviously the secondary is a lot better, especially without a William Jackson. You see now like St. Juice is finally kind of playing and getting to his own and getting to his own groove. So you're seeing what he does there, and Cam Curl is just doing Cam Curl things. So you look at that. The only little blemish, like you said, was probably that wild goose play where he held his arm, and I'm like, well, that's just instinctive things, but I think that's on the only really big blemish on the defense was that. So yeah, special teams, a Tressway, and that's funny because when we did the preview with Stu, and I say he was gonna be one of the keys, where but we see this every week, but especially for I knew a team like with a Sam Ellinger, who's his first ever start in his career, his first actual action of playing football. So to get him, and short and in long fields, that was gonna be key. Obviously you can tell, like, because pretty much if they start like outside of their territory, I mean, and then in their territory, then we getting a punt back, but obviously that you could tell even when we went for it on fourth down and ended up being in our territory, they went down and marched and put some points on the board after that play.
Right.
So that's the thing where that's but yeah, and like you said, and that's where I look at if there's a three-phase game that we can ever have, I think that could be really scary. I definitely
Yeah.
think it can definitely be where if we can get all three phases together, and it's where like, hey, if that happens, hopefully it could be, in the divisional game, it could be in, when I put it this way, when all three phases come together, I just hope it comes at the right time,
The right time, yeah.
especially at this point and how the NFC East is, where it's just crazy to think. Everybody looked at the NFC East as like, oh, this is the worst division in football. No, we are the best. How
Yeah.
how the worst team in the division is got a 500 record?
We're the only division where all four teams are at least at 500.
Exactly. No one does that, and we've all won a Super Bowl.
Also, the only division to have
Yeah,
Super Bowl win for all teams, all four teams.
I
Yeah.
I really, what I really thought about the other day, and this is this is just one little thing. I'm gonna go off a little tangent. Give me like a minute or two. What'll be wild? What if this happens? What if the Bills and the Eagles play in the Super Bowl, and then the Eagles beat the Bills? Every single team in the NFC East have beaten the Bills in the Super Bowl.
That's true.
That would be wild if that happens. That would
That
be
is true.
so wild. If that happens, the NFC East got to be goaded. Like,
So I lied with the Patriots winning.
mhm.
Um, their Patriots are at 4-4 right now.
Okay.
So
Oh, yeah, worse.
the,
That's in last place,
they
but still.
are in last place. So the two East, the
Yeah.
AFC East and the NFC East, the two
Yep.
divisions in football where all four teams are at least 500.
Yeah. And that's perfect. And that's what you, and that's one thing too. And that's going to make, and that's another thing where it's crazy of how we you see how like we're trying to kind of gain ground even with see and that's what we were so like pissed off about 3 weeks ago because it's like we've won three straight and it don't even feel like we've even gained any ground,
Yeah,
and that's why it's like that's what was the frustrating thing situation about like you backing yourself really in a corner, like you really in theory the worst team is what the Cowboys and they what 6-2. Well, the Cowboys and Eagles they 6-2.
yep.
I mean, not Cowboys. I mean,
Well,
Cowboys and the Giants.
Cowboys and
Cowboys and
Giants are
Giants
both
six
six
and
and two.
two. You still got two behind, even though you play the Giants twice, and then even with that, like, and even and then and next week they got a bye week. Both of them got a bye week, so it's just like you still ain't gonna gain no ground even if you win next week.
Right.
Like it's crazy. It's ridiculous, but yeah, it's definitely crazy. So we'll bask in the glow of this victory, but
Yep.
we know it's our next opponent is the Minnesota Vikings, our blackout game. So everybody be wearing all black in this matchup. Well, the Commanders, the all black uniforms, and a homecoming of sort. The prodigal son comes back, and the
Yeah.
prodigal offensive coordinator, the hot shot prodigal OC comes back. So
Yeah.
yeah, so this should have been our homecoming alumni game.
No. No.
Nah, no, I'm just saying. So what you think about this our matchup against the Vikings?
I don't like it. Vikings sitting over there 6-1. Got Justin Jefferson,
Oof.
Adam Thielen on the outside. But then again, our defense has been playing really well. Devin Cook, but we were able to slow down Jonathan Taylor. Ezekiel Elliott didn't do much against our front seven. There's upset potential. I think Washington opened up as 3.5 point underdogs. There's upset potential. I just I don't know if our defense can slow down the Vikings enough to give our offense a chance. Um, and also, for those of you that are into history, this team under Ron Rivera has never been above 500 at after week 2 in a season. So that tells me the trend is going to continue. Once again, this team will not make it to above 500. If we do, actually, it would be cool if we do win, since the
Mhm.
Niners are on a bye week. That'll move us into seventh seed playoff spot.
Yeah, this game is going to be definitely interesting. Obviously, just with this, the Kirk Cousins coming because this will be Kirk Cousins' first game back as a visitor.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting. And then obviously, Kevin O'Connell, he'll be returning, and and one of those things where I look at this from a historical standpoint, the Vikings, in a weird way, besides I think we beat them in 2012. That was the RG3 rookie year. But we've had some really like kind of odd games with Minnesota. Because I think the last time we played them, they destroyed us. Because I think that was like kind of Adam Thielen's coming out party where everybody was looking at Adam Thielen like he was like a beast. But the game I really remember, and I don't know, you might remember this, Rob. You was like a teenager. You were young. So you remember so the Vikings, and at the time when we were the Redskins, remember we played them on Monday Night Football. That was the first. Remember when ESPN got the rights to Monday Night Football? We were the first game. We were like the 7:00 game. This was in 2006. You probably, yeah. I mean,
I probably watched it, but I just don't remember it.
yeah, I know. What was crazy about that game was we had a safety named Prince Prelude. He used the safety. I think he now at Virginia Tech. I think he's like one of the coaches at Virginia Tech. Pearson Prelude, yeah, Pearson Prelude. Anyway, um, he ended up having a real bad injury, like on a kickoff return, like on a kickoff. And that was like such an, I remember that was like, oh gosh, like him getting hurt. I was like, this is a bad sign. Like, I don't have a good feeling about this game because I think he got hurt on the first possession, on the first play. I mean, obviously, when we were, we was kicking out the Minnesota and he got hurt. Yeah, Minnesota's it's odd, and then just I don't know, and then this whole Kirk Cousins thing. To me, almost. I mean, I hate. Look, I know how hyperbole king. This is like LeBron going back to Cleveland, like circa 2010. Not.
Don't nobody care about it now.
Right, nobody care about it now. But I'm just saying, like, this is gonna be interesting because like with me, and I think maybe me and like our guys too, we're like the president of the Kirk Cousins fan club.
Yep.
Respectfully. So, so I've always had like some love for Kirk, like even now in Minnesota. But I really that's gonna be fun to see him come here, and it's gonna be really really interesting. And like you said, this will be a game where we will see. I mean, this is where, and it's funny because I even talked about this in the beginning of the season, because I thought once upon a time how the NFC was going to be, in the sense it was going to be a logjam, which I still think it's potentially going to happen. But obviously, I think Minnesota will run away with it with the division at this point, because I looked at this kind of game where it could be like a tiebreaker down the line. Because I think I had several teams that was in that 10-7, 9-8 kind of like log jam. And I looked at us and Minnesota kind of like neck and neck, where it could be a situation with 10 teams when going to the playoffs as a wild card. This year is going to be a little bit different. I think the way the NFC East is, you mess around might have a 12 team, 11 or a 12 win team. Well, probably 11. I can see Dallas winning 11 potentially and being in second place. I can see the Giants maybe win like 9 games, and they'd be on the road. Essentially.
Yeah.
And they can go to Atlanta. No one gonna go to Atlanta.
Well, that's what everybody was saying in 2020 when Tampa had to go to FedEx.
Right, for sure. Right, exactly. And that's what y'all get. Yep.
But there's a possibility that I'm not saying it's going to happen, because looking at their schedule, I don't think it's going to. But if this team can get it going, there's a chance all 4 NFC East teams are in the playoffs.
and I think that's possible because you look at it of just how everything is structured. Because if you look at how it is constructed now, where essentially it's almost kind of how it was in 2020 as far as the obviously how our division, the opposite of kind of how we were, was pretty much all those teams are going to be jockeying for the winning division. They're not going to get a wild card spot. So I think that's going to happen a lot. Especially, I think the South is going to be like that because obviously, I don't necessarily think that Atlanta's going to win the South, but I look at even hell, Carolina might still be in the mix. So I can see a team maybe 9 if they 7, 8 wins, and that going into week 18. Like that, because the West is like that. I mean, at the West, yeah, the West. Well, I think I'm really now thinking leaning towards San Francisco probably gonna run away with it now. But then you look at the South is like that, and then even the North is gonna be like that. I think the North is gonna be a runaway. I think with Minnesota, but yeah, I mean it's a good shot that all 4 teams will make it, which is kind of crazy, which that would be bizarre. Like we bought God, and then what's crazy about all that is like if Philly gets a bye, all 3 of us would be on the road and we won't play each other.
Right.
That's gonna be the wild thing about all that. So we literally can have a situation if all 4 teams make it. We might mess around have a NFC East 2 teams in the championship game.
There could be an NFC East divisional, all NFC East divisional round.
Yeah, because you think about it, because if Philly gets a bad
and all 3 of us win our games,
all 3 win the game,
that's a guaranteed Super Bowl appearance for the division.
For sure. You might mess around have the Eagles playing the Commanders, and then you got the Giants and Eagles.
Yeah.
On divisional week, on MLK weekend. Well, no, it won't be MLK weekend. That'd be the weekend. That'd be the other weekend.
I'm with it though.
But it's wild though. That it's possible, and that's the thing where. That's why I think these games are so crucial. Like you have to start winning these games where it's crucial. But I can definitely see that happening. It's a distinct possibility.
It's a long shot, but definitely sitting at 4-4. I did not think we are gonna after the Dallas game, the Philly game. I did not think we'd be sitting here on the day before Halloween talking about a 4-4 team. On a 3-game winning streak. Yeah, I said it for like 2 straight weeks. I did not see another winnable game on our schedule. And now look at us. We beat Aaron Rodgers. We beat the Colts, who they're a bad team, but they weren't looking like us.
No. And they'll be a team, despite what Stu thinks, that could potentially be in the running for winning the AFC South.
Yeah,
that race is not over. I mean, there's no runaway. I mean, you look at even Houston is even though Houston isn't, they're still playing. Yeah, Houston.
Oh yeah, they fight.
They fight, and obviously we got them in 3 weeks, but yeah, them. And then you also, Jacksonville, even though I think once they kind of get themselves together, they lost another heartbreaking game this week.
Yeah.
I mean, well, this morning. So let's ride.
What's his nickname? Mr. Unlimited?
Oh God.
Mr. Unlimited.
It's so cringe. He from my hometown too, bro.
That's all you.
And that's funny. I was talking to some because I always bring up because in Richmond, we have a newspaper called the Richmond Town Dispatch. So he was a 2-time Richmond Town Dispatch Player of the Year. So I always joke with the guy. I joked with one of the guys. I met one of the guys from the RTD yesterday, and we were talking. I was like, "Man, I think I might strip him of that title," because I'm like, I like he's just doing too much cringe stuff. The whole thing about the exercising on the plane, I like, dude, you doing too much. Like,
yeah, that's true.
excess on the plane is excessive. But yeah, man. So let's put a ball on episode 53, Rob. Final thoughts, social media, and what else is going on with you?
Um, oh, what do I got going on? Let's see. I have a month left here in the state of Washington. Um, but definitely excited to get back down to sunny San Diego and really start getting hot and heavy into because by the time that time rolls around, probably gonna be start getting ready for draft coverage, draft analysis, gonna start getting heavy into that. As of right now, just focusing on this Commanders team, Commanders in the chat. Um, don't really have any big coming up in the near future.
Okay. Yeah. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, under Couch Coach Live. Got a Couch Coach Live podcast every Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Then also the commanders in the chat. Check us out twice a week. I know we to be determined about this week because I'm like trying to find a Vikings guy, but we'll get that, behind the scenes. We'll get that going. But check us out. Do the post games on Sundays, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, man. We have a victory week here on Commanders in the Chat. A victory Monday, so everything is going to be just great. So for all the Commanders that's in the chat, just brag on your win this week.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, all right. So we'll catch you guys on the next episode of Commanders in the Chat. We'll catch you guys next week, and we're out.